So, welcome back. You know what? I promised you guys every week in season 2, we're going to create a new fun flower project. And this week, it's our wonderful calla lily bouquet. Notice it's avant-garde, it's spectacular, and it's going to be easy for you to create with the secrets you learn here at JTV and a few items that we have. So, let's get started. For the bouquet, we're going to use calla lilies today. And first of all, we're going to take those out and we're going to look at them. We're going to decide which ones are bigger and which ones are smaller, because that's important for creating the binding effect that we need. So we'll get all those guys out. Let's arrange them, kind of looking for bigger ones and smaller ones. So we can pick and choose. We're going to use the smaller ones at the tip of our bouquet and the larger ones towards the end. You can also do this with other flowers too. So if you wanted to take out your floral fan deck and select other types of flowers, that would be a great option. It's great to work with a flower that has a pliable stem. Although we can do this with roses, it becomes a little bit more harsh and a little bit more severe and doesn't give us the nice cascade that we normally would have. So we're ready to get started with our wire. We're going to use bind wire. It comes in two different colors. There's a green and there's a brown. Today I'm going to use the brown because it's going to give me a higher contrast to the metallic and bullion wire that I'm going to use later on in the project. So one of the things that we remember, we never take the band off the outside of the bind wire, because suddenly that's all going to expand, it's just going to become a mess, and it's going to be hard for us to deal with. Those of you that remember raffia, remember when the raffia came in a great little braid, and suddenly we cut it, and suddenly there was a big explosion of raffia, and it was really hard to use all that product up? So in this case, we reach inside and we pull it out from the inside. The other thing that works great, because I don't want it to get tangled up, I'm going to set it down on the floor so as it works its way out, it has the ability to straighten up. So we're going to grab two of our smaller calla lilies to bind together. Now remember, calla lilies come in two different sizes. There's the miniature that we're using today, and there's also the large. You could use the large, it's going to create a really big bouquet. I like this one because it's cool and it's going to be a nice size for someone to carry and be really contemporary. We also notice that these come in different colors. We're using the red flame today too, which gives us that great orange coloration. But there's also purple and pink and miniature whites available as well. So we're going to take our bind wire. We're simply going to wrap those two calla lilies together. Now, here's where it gets easy, but also this is what makes it so interesting and fun. We're simply going to add another calla lily on top and continue with one continuous piece of bind wire. The cool thing about bind wire is it's a special wire that's covered with a craft paper, so it's gentle around the stems of the flowers themselves, holds them firmly, but at the same time won't cut into them. So we add another calla and we just continue to wrap. We're going to continue this same technique all the way to the end, simply adding a calla lily each time. You'll notice that I'm moving them back a little bit, and you can see the detail on the bottom side. See how they're staggered and moving back down the stem? That's what's going to give us our natural crescent shape as we create this. The other thing that's important to remember too is if we're getting too much bulk as we go along, we can simply cut out a little bit of the stem to help create a more tapered look towards the back. Some of the stems are longer, some are shorter, and we want to make sure that we have a nice taper that starts to work towards the back. So just adding those guys on. And we also can add one to the side. Notice how that covers up a little bit of that area for us. Simply bind it. And we can do that on the other side as well. So we start to get a triangle type shape. Almost looks like a bunch of grapes. And we just continue to add these. I'm sure you get the idea. So now we're going to speed it up just a little bit and get it finished. So you can see that I've cut those pieces out to give this a wonderful tapered effect, and we've built that all the way towards the front. Now we're simply continuing to bind that wire tightly around the stems. The great thing about the miniature calla lilies is that they have a lot of moisture content, so a bouquet like this can be made up on Thursday or Friday for use on Saturday, which is wonderful because there's so much moisture inside those stems. As the stems get a little more pliable too, the really cool thing is you can still change the bouquet up a little bit and give it even a little bit more of a crescent shape. You'll notice that I trimmed those stems out, and that's giving me this nice taper. Where I've got a little pocket or two where it's not so even, I may add a little bit of additional bind wire in there. What we're doing is we're getting right down here to the end. One of the things I learned a long time ago when I went to Phil Rollota's school in Arizona was about wiring to a diminishing point. And what that means is we're taking this wire down to the final point of our bouquet, and we just continue to wire with it till we get to a point where it diminishes into nothing. So that's why we call it the diminishing point. Then we simply trim off our bind wire. That gives us that wonderful crescent shape. So now it's time for us to add a little bit of decorative wire. We're going to start with the metallic first, and we're going to just bring it and let it have its natural coiling. So just by pulling it off and letting it release a little bit off of the spool in a very casual manner. Now you know what? This is the part that makes it look so intricate, like you took so much time, but instead it's just kind of a fun way to wrap those things around. We can bind those portions then right onto our handle. So they're secure. Again, we're just following that same manner of binding tightly. Notice how that adds the great chartreuse color, and again, whenever we add chartreuse to something, it makes the other colors bubble up. Now, we can do the same thing with the bullion, just overlaying that over the top. Now, we're going to go add the decorative pins. We picked some bronze colored ones because they match our calla lilies, and we're going to add those just in the back side. Making sure that we don't send the pin all the way through the other side. So we're sending them in at a real sharp angle, but they add real detail to this entire piece. Kind of like little jewels all up and down the stem. You'll notice that this coloration looks so great with this, and it adds just a little bit of shimmer and shine. The other great thing is this helps hold our wire in place too. If we have any loose spots or if we have any gaps, we can add several pins, and it looks really great, like the pins are almost underneath the wire. You can add as many pins as you like. If you want more jewels or if you want to use even more decorative accessories, that's a great thing. You could also add wire or beading inside here too if you wanted to. Whatever suits your fancy, that's the part where you get to be creative. So we've created a really beautiful crescent-shaped bouquet. You know how popular crescents are right now, but this is very contemporary and very creative. But you know what? We want to make sure that this lasts as long as it possibly can. So I've got one more step that's going to ensure that, and that's adding crowning glory. Because crowning glory is clear, I can spray it over the entire thing, including all of my wires and everything. It's my finishing touch. We're coating the front and back. And for those of you who want more information about crowning glory, we've got an entire webisode dedicated just to crowning glory in our archives. So go back and check that out. Shake off the excess, and we'll let that dry. It's going to dry clear, and it's going to be beautiful. Now look at that amazing crescent bouquet. And look, it's perfectly balanced. It's balanced because we're creative designers, but also because nature helped us too. The wonderful crescent shape of the calla lilies and the way that we created the handle with the bind wire adds to our creativity and allows us to look like we're really, really good at what we do. You know what? We can add a little bit more sparkle to this by adding a little bit of the glitter spray from Design Master. I love this one because it's the bronze. It's going to add just a hint of that wonderful glitter. We'll add a little of the handle too. See how we just get a little fine sparkling. And that's a really, really neat extra touch. So, our cascade bouquet. Pretty fun, huh? What did we learn today? We learned that we can create this beautiful contemporary crescent bouquet using a very simple binding technique and a few other items that we use. You know what? You can create this with any color calla lily that you like. There are other flowers you can use too, but remember to use something with soft stems. Harder stems don't work as well, but soft stems will allow you to get this wonderful curve. Those are the creative things that you learn here at JTV, and that's why you keep coming back. But I also want to encourage you to tell other people about JTV. We've got our Share Webisode feature. It's right there. And you know what? You simply enter in your friend's email address, and you can send them this webisode, and they can watch it. Soon, we'll all be having fun together, and they can join us right here at JTV. It's going to be so much fun. Until then, you keep having fun with flowers.